Alright everyone, welcome back to another episode of Ocean Outlast Expert. I hope everyone's doing great today. I know that I am. We're hopping right back on into our world here. And in our last episode, we started to get into bewitchment a little bit, which was pretty interesting to see, what we can do with it. We've gotten a few things up and going, but really to progress any farther with it, we did need to do something very specific. So if we go into our quests here, maybe, and we come down to bewitchment. So we can get our chalks up and going if we wanted to. They actually aren't too bad to do. You need just normal ritual chalk, dimensional sand, and glowstone dust. But really, in order to do any of this, you need to have an altar up and going. Now, we looked at this in the last episode, and the one thing that we were missing from the recipe was purifying bath salts, because we don't have the research for it from Thaumcraft. These purifying bath salts are Salus Mundus in our crucible with these attributes down here, and we'll get some purifying bath salts from that. Now, I spent quite a bit of time trying to get it up and going in Thaumcraft, and you might be able to see we have a bunch of Thaumcraft things we can complete here. So I went through and I had done that. We got a caster's gauntlet because I thought that maybe it would help us out progressing towards this. But I have no idea what we need to do. There's sanitizing soap here, which we can't even do that. You need a flesh block in there, and we're not even there. There's this. So it says update 54 will be an entire remake of this chapter, which is pretty awesome. I know that Kevin the Modpack creator is working on it, as I believe we're currently in. Oh, this is interesting. Ooh, that's nice. We are currently in version 53, if I am not mistaken. But I think we might be coming to an end here with this. I'm excited to see what he comes to the table with the update in update 54. But I have been trying to go through Thaumcraft, and this is the point that he's getting to with Thaumcraft, is it's not that great. I mean, I'm trying to progress and get through and find what we need. And what I have seen online when I've done normal research for this is that it should be right in this general area here. There's nothing there. And it doesn't explain how we need to get to it either. And I'm not like super interested in Thaumcraft to really dedicate a ton of time to it currently. Maybe at some point in a different pack, we'd be a little bit more into it when it's not as complicated. When you have that complication twist on it, it just kind of puts you off to wanting to put a lot of work into it. But yeah, as you can see, this is our setup down here. I spent a lot of time down here, and unfortunately, I didn't do things too great because I'm not that great with Thaumcraft. So we have this up here now. And it does hurt you when you go into it. So, but yeah, I mean, and that's one of the bummer things, is that because we can't progress in Thaumcraft to the point that we want, or at least I can't figure it out, then we can't progress really in Bewitchment, which is again a bit of a bummer. That holds up another mod that we could dive into. And then additionally from there, we can't get into Applied Energistics just yet, because we need to grind and get more output from our void ore miner, and we're not even going to be close. I mean, we're still only at 65 there. I mean, I feel like this thing has been running a decent amount, but it's just not getting there. Now, I do need to make note of that this is an expert pack, so the challenge is supposed to be there to, cater towards those people looking for an expert experience, which definitely we are. I'm not overlooking that by any means of the imagination here. Let's break this and put it back and let this refill itself here. Wow, we're over 2 million, which is awesome and growing. But yeah, it's supposed to be hard and challenging, and it definitely is. It adds a new twist on it, and I really enjoy it. But I'm starting to get to the point where a lot of the things that I would like to progress and try out are blocked behind things that are kind of astronomically high in ask. Realistically, we get those two from that, which we just gotten. And isn't there something else in here? Oh yeah, down here, Elven Quartz, because I was trying to do things. I was attempting to do Thaumcraft, and it was not really working that well. But anywho, yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with it. I would love to see how the update 54 goes with it. But at the same time, I'm starting to run out of oomph to keep going on this one for the time being. So what I am thinking, guys, is we are actually probably going to call this the last episode for, let's say, this season of of Ocean Outlast Expert. I think we are going to move on to a different mod pack and try something out different over there. I've been thinking All the Mods 6 would be pretty cool. It is running on a newer version of Minecraft, so it'd be kind of cool to check that one out. Maybe do that for a while, and then at some point in time, maybe return to MC Eternal for a Season 2 playthrough and start from scratch and take a different approach on things. So yeah, that's kind of where I am at with it. I'm just kind of running out of oomph to keep going on this specific mod pack. Don't get me wrong, there's plenty more that could be done, but we've gotten to a really good point where it's almost like, why do some of these miscellaneous tasks when really I would love to get into these things like, you know, applied energistics, get a different storage system up and going. I mean, eventually getting into like Project E and trying that out, but these are, I mean, again, it's an expert pack, so I can't complain on how complicated it is, but I just would like to be able to have a little bit more creativity in things, and just try things out. You kind of get to that point where it's like, okay, you're pretty solid. It's like, what is really the next thing to do? What would really benefit you to do something else with? So I figured what we'll do for this episode, as it being our wrap-up episode for this playthrough, is I'll do a base run-through. I'll show you guys what we got going on in the base and what we've progressed with and so on. It might be a little bit shorter episode because of that. And then leave it there, and then expect in the next couple of days for the new series to kick off here on the channel. So it'll also be kind of cool because I just want to be able to have like a different layout. You kind of start getting tired of the things that you have here. Like, I would really love to have a whole new starter base, take a different approach on how I get into the game with like energy production and things like that. Just trying things that aren't the norm, because you get so caught up in the easy ways to do things. Oh, you need to get a grindstone. Oh, you need to get into thermal expansion because that's the easiest one to get into. Oh, you need to do this and that and this and jump into that and this, or whatever it may be, following a normal path pretty much. Now, certain things are great to have. Let's say our mob spawner. I mean, it's hard to beat a setup like that where it's very simple. Or, you know, let's say our automation system. This was new for us. I hadn't done an automation system like this before, but it was awesome. This is really awesome, but it kind of leads us to having a lot of resources then, which is cool, but do we really need it? And then it was really cool taking a new twist on our farming setup and using a mix of things, using a mix of these farmers with, if I can get out here, with these greenhouse glass tiles on top to bump up the production or the growth of the plants within the greenhouses, which is really cool. You know, or getting a more setup into our actually additions over here with our empowerer. This was really cool to test out and see how it goes. And using a different style of glass up here, this cathedral glass. that added a cool new look onto our whole entire setup here. And then over here, having our, archaeological area, which was pretty interesting. I not like the most, I don't know, intriguing mod to me personally, just because, I mean, there's some cool stuff to it, but I'm not really that super into it. But it's very interesting, and it was cool, like getting a very like, what is it, Indiana Jones style of, archaeological dig area set up over here at our base. And then another cool thing for us to get going was our biofuel. Like, just getting into different types of energy production was so cool on this one. Using universal cables, using biofuel this time around, and instead of using a thermal expansion energy storage system, using a mechanism one, which is really cool. And realizing, hey, we can actually store a lot more, well, probably a lot more. I'd have to double check on this, but it seems like we could store a lot more energy a lot easier with these energy cubes. And then we have the Spectre energy injector, which was tied into the whole Spectre energy universe, which is really interesting to try out. A way of doing wireless power transfer without using your pretty much go-to wireless RF battery from extra utilities. Using this one instead, and realizing that you can transfer very high percentages of power across distances using this along with Spectre coils, which is really cool. And then having this setup down here, a multi-block feature that can hold our automated process for creating biofuel and getting our efficiency up there. I mean, I showed you guys this just a little bit ago here, but over 2 million in here, 2 million millibuckets or MB in here, which is crazy. Like, we're not even half of the way filled up either. But that energy production is insane, and realistically what we could be doing is tying that in and selling it and getting coins. But then that was the other thing that we ended up kind of falling into based on community comments, is getting a lot of coins for our shop to be able to buy different things, and realizing, again, from community input, that the jackpot machine is a great way to bump up the amount of money that you have. And it only takes one time of getting lucky on one of those to pretty much ensure that you'll have plenty of money to keep going and accrue all of those coins. Now, I do want to circle back to our mob farm, because this is great. I've done a mob farm like this before, but I don't remember if I did it with this inevitable glass. I don't think I did before in our MC Eternal playthrough. But it's really cool that we were able to walk through it. We got our lights set up. I would love to do more different stuff with lights there. And then we have our setup down here where we have some storage going on for all of our mob drops. We have our additional automated way of producing essence, liquid essence, for our mob farm, which is so nice to have a backup of, considering certain mobs will utilize the essence to spawn, but they won't produce the same as they use. So pretty much, we ensured it that we would never, or it would take a lot longer for us to run out of essence to stop mobs from duplicating, which was really nice. And then taking a different approach on the styling down here, using a lot of these bewitchment bricks were pretty cool. And then also, I can't forget to mention our setup. Wow, there's a lot of coal in there. I'm kind of surprised there's that much coal. But using our setup to automate our loot bags and our recycling and storage, which is really cool. I mean, 684 legendary loot bags. But at this point in time, we get this far into our game, it's kind of like, what's the point? We could have a whole setup. I have plenty of ideas of different things that we could do. We realistically could have this automated, have it automated to open all of these up as they go, and then have individual crates for all of the different items you could possibly get from it. And then from there, automate it so that those items would be recycled, and then you get the materials from it. Let's say diamonds or brass or bronze or gold or iron or whatever it may be. Sorry, my nose is a little bit itchy here. But yeah, huge grand idea to do that. But then also ultimately it boils down to, well, why? We have our whole automated process using our setup of crushing stone, cobblestone, and then turning the pieces into chunks, and then crushing the chunks, and then having the chunks get smelted up, or the dust get smelted up, and then put directly into our storage system. So it's like, why invest in a whole other additional automated way of doing that? There's no real point to do it. And then this one was cool as well. I mean, you know, this first part of our automation, you know, our stonework factory, and realizing how we can utilize this to get sand and different types of materials, and changing that into what we would need to ultimately get put into our crusher here, into our sieve, I should say, and then turned into all of those materials that I just mentioned. But if we take a look here, right, we go to iron, I'm sitting at almost 17,000 iron ingots. That's almost 2,000 blocks of iron, which is crazy. If we look at gold, it's going to be very similar. You know, 12,000 there. But yeah, I mean, it was a cool automated system set up, and I'm actually really proud of that one. And obviously then having it tie into our simple storage network, I would have loved to get into applied energistics and then have it tie in. But again, it's just that you get to that kind of top point that's hard to overcome, which is then the void ore miner. Now this is a cool early game way of getting things going, but if you don't upkeep with it right from the start, and you don't supply it the power it needs right from the start, you kind of get to a bottleneck, which is where we've gotten. Our bottleneck is that we didn't put the effort into it up front. So for the countless hours that we've been playing this, it hasn't been producing what we wanted it to produce. It has not been producing our erodium at a rate that would be helpful for us to progress to the next tier. And then even from there, progressing to the next tier and the next tier and the next tier after that. Now, realistically, yes, I could go ahead, I could get 4 or 5 of these ones set up and bump up our percentage chance of getting it. But with the way we have things fit in here, again, it's just like, I get it's an expert pack, but the grind there is just a little bit too much for what I am looking to do right now. And then where it all started, this is where our original base was set up in, where we started to do things, and it has morphed over time to become this crazy hub of different things. You know, we have our extra utilities and actually additions set up over here. You know, we have our basic bed. We have an area where we can cycle through some villagers that we've picked up along the way. We have some, you know, ad hoc automation processes here between sag mills, alloy smelters, enrichment chambers, and enrichment factories and stuff like that. We have our universal cable underneath supplying power, and a whole mix of different mod machines. You know, we have mechanism, we have Ender IO, we have industrial craft, thermal expansion, so on and so forth. So definitely a cool way to go about it. And then we have our simple storage network, which was awesome to get into right off the bat, and have a great way of keeping all of our storage somewhat in line. There is so much more I would love to do with our storage setup. I would have loved to get into so much more automation around it, where we could have it automatically produce, let's say, like steel or something along those lines, where I could request to make it. That's the biggest thing. Yeah, I could have an automated system where I can just have it run and have it feed in iron or feed in the materials that it needs. But it's not a way that I could just request it. Be like, hey, I need 20 steel. Have the system go out, send the items that it needs to that location, and get it going. Again, the capability is here in the mod pack for it. Don't get me wrong on that point. It's just locked behind such a large progression that we haven't gotten to there. So, and then getting into advanced crafting was actually pretty cool because I've never done that before. Extended crafting, advanced crafting, whatever you want to call it. some more setup from our coin collection. But yeah, and then our elevator's taking us downstairs to our whole entire storage setup here for our simple storage network. Having all of these different drawers set up and our hopping bonsais producing materials for us and having things broken out here, you can really get a good glimpse of the amount of resources we have backlogged just from running our machines here. I mean, almost 11,000 lead, I should say. We're at about a little over 2,000 each of emeralds and diamonds there. And come over here, we got about 8,000 platinum, which is crazy that it's over there with that. And then almost 7,000, what is that? Refined uranium as well. Just insane numbers here. And look at that. All of that crushed black quartz. Yeah, almost 23,000 of it. That's pretty crazy. So, and then all these just having a bunch of miscellaneous things stored in them. Nothing too crazy to go through. There's a lot of different things. I mean, we could play the jackpot machines. We could do all of that, but again, I'm kind of just at that point where I am ready to continue on to something new. And then we do have our whole kitchen set up, which we really never used, to be completely honest. Pretty much just, you know, use the food that we could find when we could find it. We didn't really utilize this more than that, which is a little bit of a bummer. I think it's ultimately a great mod, and there's so much to it. And we did do a lot of it in our MC Eternal playthrough, but for this one, it didn't really make sense, especially because there were some glitches right off the bat with this mod pack. So, and then coming over here and checking out what we got out over this way, we have our tree fluid extractors with our latex processing, basically our whole entire plastic automation system, minus a few items here on top that we have since taken out. But yeah, getting this whole automated process going, or mostly automated process going, we could have added some more automation into it, was awesome. And then also being able to increase our yield from wood into planks, utilizing this basic primal tech setup with a hopper, and then utilizing a hopper hawk flower from Botania to automatically collect it and stick it into here, which was really cool. This was one of the cool things too. I really liked that worked out. It's always awesome when things work out like that. And then one of our more recent additions is the power production we set up over here using our petrified fuel generators, basically taking low-grade charcoal and a normal coal and producing them into power. Now, we do have 2 energy cubes over here because I did pick up an additional one here just from a loot crate or something like that, so I threw it in there for storage. But then we also have our automated system for creating this low-grade charcoal that we can use for the power production, and then also tying into our system for coal, which is crazy because we could take a look at our coal setup, and we have almost 6,500 blocks of coal. Blocks. That is blocks of coal. That is crazy. That's more than iron by far. So, and then having our whole setup with our whole base like this is pretty awesome. You know, having it go farther down here, having this entryway where we can just go right into the water. We did have our sea moth at one point, which is now gone. We have our system for enchantments down here and our enchanter for getting some additional crafting items as well. Really awesome. And then we used to have stairs down here, but then obviously we've converted it into elevators, and then coming all the way down here into our basement area, where it's been really a multi-use area. I mean, we have our Tinker's Smeltery up here, which was extremely essential early game. It really helped us out, especially recycling a lot of the things we would get from loot bags early on. It was great. Having a automated obsidian generator here, which was cool. That was a fun setup. Again, a community recommendation there. Coming over here for our more extended advanced crafting setup. This was really awesome to get into as well and try. It made things a lot more difficult, that is for certain. But it was a really cool setup to have. And then obviously over here we have some power generation for our grid power for extra utilities. which is always easy to get up and going. And on Tinker's Construct, I should also mention our laser gun that we have, because this thing has been incredible for us. We really have been able to use it to take out a lot of enemies. This has been my go-to weapon throughout most of the playthrough as long as I have had it. So it definitely does a lot of damage. I 10 out of 10 would recommend getting one of these if you have it available to you. I think, yeah, you have to have plus tick in the pack that you're playing. Obviously, this pack would have it, but not all packs have that additional add-on for it. So just keep that in mind. And then one of the most fun things that I created was this little area for our Britannia, Thaumcraft, PSI, and Bewitchment setups here. So having this whole area for Britannia was really cool. Getting into Britannia in general was really cool because I never really dove into it that much. It was a little bit more complicated in this pack, obviously, because of the nature of the pack, but still really fun. Getting this setup here, this little witch's hut for our PSI. This one, PSI, not the most fun mod, but I made a whole dedicated episode or two around it, so if you do have questions on it, you can check it out. Super helpful. And then we have our Thaumcraft stuff, which you guys have already seen here. I can jump downstairs just to show you what we got downstairs as well. We just have our little setup, which I'd probably do differently the next time around. And then finally, over here, oh, what was that? Oh. I think those things can spawn now from Thaumcraft. But anywho, then across the bridge, again, this bridge was extremely fun to make. We have our whole island setup that I created for Bewitchment and Bewitchment, pretty much primarily over here, but we never really were able to get into, unfortunately. But we already talked on that. So, but yeah, this is a cool setup. I really love the aesthetics of it. And then finally, rounded back over to our mob spawner area, we have this little area here, which really would have been for our applied energistics setup, a little, you know, additional aesthetically pleasing walkway here. And then I was thinking of maybe adding some additional things over here, but never really got around to it. So, and then the last item on the list is our wither chamber over here. Again, a recommendation of getting one up and going. There are different ways of doing this as well. There are different ways of doing a wither chamber like this and having an automated kill box and stuff like that. But this was our way of doing it, which I think is fine. And we built it on top of a downward facing mob tower. So the boss was on the bottom. It was an ugly sore on the environment here, but I think changing it up like this was a really cool idea that we had for it. So I think it turned out great too. Great way to get withers spawned in and easily farm them. But yeah, I mean, this is it. That is the whole entire base. I'm trying to, you know, get into a good position here where we can capture it. I think that should be about good. Try to angle it a little bit more. We could loop around this way, I guess, and just decide how we want to do it. But yeah, I mean, it's been a fun ride. I do appreciate everyone's support as we've been playing through this series. I'm really excited to move on to the next pack and try something different. I don't think I skipped over any of the items that we got going here. Pretty much went through everything for the most part. I mean, there's obviously a few miscellaneous items, you know, like stuff we have on us, all the exploration we've done, and so on and so forth. But yeah, so I've been rambling for 28 minutes already, not really doing much, just talking. So it's more so for those of you who wanted to probably have a good conclusion to this series. And for me personally, I feel like too often I will just end a series abruptly without giving a, you know, final walkthrough of things or just a final conclusion episode. So I figured for once I would actually do that. So, but yes, again, I do appreciate all the support that you guys have given this series. I really do appreciate it. Kevin, the Modpack author, has been great. The Discord for the Modpack is a great place to go if you guys do have questions. We probably, again, will have a season 2 of this which maybe will be a little bit different. I don't want to guarantee it right now, but it's something that is in the back of my mind, or maybe we'll just revisit this at some point. Not 100% positive on it, but I don't think we're done with this mod pack. Let's go with that. I think there is still a place for us to be playing this, but for right now, it is time to move on to the next thing. Have a fresh start. I mean, 50-ish episodes in, I think is pretty good. Our MC Eternal playthrough, we went, I think, like 60 plus episodes for that one. But yeah, so guys, again, thank you so much for all of your support. I do appreciate it. If you are new to the channel, you do want to, well, it's probably not the best video to be watching if you're new to here onto the channel. But if you do want to follow along with any other videos that are posted here, feel free to hit subscribe and hit that bell notification. I do stream over on Twitch Mondays and Fridays currently at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have that link down in the description, along with our own Discord, our community Discord. If you want to hop on over there, I try to, interact with you guys as much as possible over there. If you have questions, concerns, or just recommendations, I always love to hear them out over there. So, guys, again, I want to express how much I do appreciate everyone's support. Our community has been growing so very much, and I'm excited what the future holds for us. So with that being said, I will catch you all in the next episode. Take it easy.